Okay. Personality tests have evolved far beyond the cootie catcher you built your future around when you were in the 8th grade. Established nearly 90 years ago, the DISC assessment tool is a method for building awareness around the behavior styles of people. Here to introduce us to the DISC system with a 5 to 7 minute speech, please welcome Shane Sievers with Know Yourself. Know Yourself by Shane Sievers.
Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The beginning of all wisdom. Through the introspection of a personality test, you are afforded an opportunity to get to know yourself, to know what makes you tick, to know what makes others tick, to know what ticks other people off. Tonight, I will introduce you to the basic mechanics of the DISC assessment system, how it works, how it can be applied, and how it stacks up to the competition. Similar to the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram, they use an acronym or a set of behaviors in buckets called D, I, S, or C. Originally, D stood for dominance. It's morphed over time, but it's still pretty much the same meaning in that it's your demanding, you're driving people. It's a behavior that exhibits people that are task-oriented and brave or forceful. You might find somebody in a boss position or a manager or somebody who's good at delegating and dictating actions of others. I stands for inducement, which can also be known as inspiring, or people that like to influence others, somebody that likes to work a room, a people collector. These people are focused on the who. Who can I meet? They energize around others. They're your extroverts. S is for a submission originally, but it's become more known with steadiness, pragmatic people. While still a people-focused trait, it is a little more reserved, also kind of introverted. And then there's C, which is compliance-based. These are your critical thinkers. They reserve themselves more introverted, task-based, and they'll exercise more caution. Now, with the DISC assessment tool, context is everything. Most DISC assessments will ask questions that help establish a natural versus a stressed or adapted result set. Because how you are at work is probably different than how you are at home. At work, you might be tasked with doing things that require more compliance or more details. And if you're not a high C, you're probably going to get a little stressed out in that environment. If you go to an accountant who is focused on standards and regulation, you would expect them to be a high C individual. And of course, at home, your spouse might get mad at you for taking the last cup of coffee. But at work, you might not try and pull that because it requires a higher I or team mentality. Now, once you've taken a test, and there's free ones, there's paid ones, how you get there almost doesn't matter. Of course, if you pay, you're probably going to get more thorough results. What's important is how you use that information. Aristotle's wisdom around knowing thyself really comes to light when you maximize your ability to build relationships. As Evan pointed out, DISC, or any personality test, is a system that helps provide awareness around your style and the styles of those around you. DISC provides a common language so that you can communicate with people more efficiently. A lot of organizations use DISC at their leadership retreats. And sometimes they'll do it in a formal way, or they'll do it with a silly exercise like drawing a picture or identifying with certain animals. Some companies even use DISC at the start of each meeting so that they know who's in the room. A lot of D's, a lot of I's. What can they expect? How can they communicate with each other? And it can be used at work, but it can also be used in the community or at home. If you know that your boss is a high D, you probably don't want to bore him with the details or even small talk. If your accountant is a low C, then you should probably find a new accountant. And if your spouse took the last cup of coffee, well, that's probably just retaliation and maybe you deserve it. Now, compared to other personality tests, I must say that I find DISC to be pretty similar. Again, I think the results pretty much matter at most when you're getting a free version versus a paid version, because one is going to be more thorough. Enneagram has 9 points of personalities. The Myers-Briggs has 4 that they divide into 16 different personality groups. And the DISC has 4 buckets, but whether you use either of those systems or a cootie catcher, what's important is that you're taking the time to get to know yourself and those around you. Life is a piece of cake, right? It's not how you slice it, though. It's what's inside it. Personality tests can help you find the recipe. They provide understanding for not just the way you view life, but the way others view it too. So I encourage you to get to know yourself, learn how others prefer to be communicated with, and start building your wisdom. Thank you.
Shane, what a great speech. How fun. So what I saw someone who spoke with authority, used gestures effectively, and made me feel at ease, which is how I always feel when you give a speech. I feel like you are in control of it. You gave us a roadmap or a recipe for the cake, shall we say, with tonight, I will. And so that, I appreciated that. I kind of knew where we were headed. I thought you did a great job with the overview. I appreciated just your breakdown with all of that. I always appreciate how you insert humor, but I never deserve someone taking the last cup of coffee. Just right there, lost me. I love how you always move us forward with technology and do different things that I wouldn't even know how to begin, like putting this words in front. But I will say, I found it a little distracting to have the words across your face while you were talking. So it was a neat effect, but then it was a distraction because of where it ended up. So just if you have to do presentations or something, you might want to pay attention to that. And then there were a few random capital letters in the middle of words that I don't think were intended to be there. So if you're going to use a visual and show it to us, then clean it up for us. I always love when there's a strong start and you bring it back. So Aristotle said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And then you brought it back at the end with know yourself and start building your wisdom. So it kind of brought us in a big circle, and it was a strong opening and closing, which just bookended it really nicely for me. So I thought you did a great job. Good job with all of it. Thank you.